Well, good evening and welcome back to an evening with your host, Tina Boyle Whyte, on the Bridge Broadcast Show. Tonight we are here and we are most grateful for WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network at another time to be able to inspire you and to speak something into your life to make you a better person, a stronger person, and a greater person. And tonight is no different from any other night that we've done. If you're just joining us, you're joining, again, your host, Tina Boyle Whyte, where we believe on the bridge that the goal is to take you from where you are to where you want and need to be in life. And so this is what we're doing. And we are excited on tonight's show to have with us Sir Charles Cary, an Amazon bestseller, the peak performance strategist. Mr. Cary wrote his 2014 book, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game, Finding the Cure for Cancer in Your Business and Existence. Mr. Cary, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here because we have been waiting for this date to show up for a little while now, and now it's finally here, so I appreciate it.
You know, it must be a special date and a special thing for you to be here because you know what? This is the holiday season, and this is the season of giving and receiving, and we're launching into the new year, and the year has been going fast. And so this is perfect timing because your message is so beautiful for the people. And what I found out is that we are very much in alignment. And so
okay.
Your belief in transforming people and helping them be their powerful selves. Mr. Cary, share with us tonight, you know, you being an Amazon bestseller, talk to us about your book and kind of give us the journey of that.
Well, you know, honestly, I'm grateful to be here, not just with you, but to be here literally alive in 2018, going into 2019, because it's amazing. It's a miracle, maybe even, that I'm still around. I believe that we're all born basically with the best intentions and with many opportunities until life taints us. And that was my problem. So to have written 6 books to date is amazing for me because, one, I had no interest in writing. I did like to read when I was younger, but to write, to become an author, wasn't on my radar. Music was my family's passion, and my passion, the creative arts, are something that I'm still very interested in. But again, going back to writing, you know, the first book was called Poetic Expressions, and I wrote the book to gain credibility as a speaker. In fact, my mentor, Dr. Willie Jolly, suggested, listen, you know, you're speaking out there. If you want to have more credibility, you should write a book. Although I had a book written or it started, I had writer's block because I didn't know what I was doing. So as life would have it, a few more challenges were waiting for me, and those challenges were great. I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it just knocked me out the box. And upon getting over that trial with cancer, I said, you know what? I've gotten over drugs because that was my first biggest hurdle, substance abuse. I've gotten over drugs and now cancer. In fact, I had 2 bouts with cancer, 2 bouts with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I decided to write my book, Courage, Facing Mortality. Cancer wasn't my only obstacle, and that became an Amazon bestseller, and I was excited. I was excited because, you know, here I am, never wanting to be an author, never really truly planning to be an author, but now I'm a speaker and an author with credibility, and I got kudos. I'm an Amazon bestseller. So that was the beginning of the, you know, the literary track for me, if you will. And it led to another opportunity, which was a reality show. And the producer said, if you want to be on a reality show, you've got to write a book. I said, hey, don't worry about it. I've already written a book. I'm an Amazon bestseller. I was like, yeah, I'm good to go. And he said, no. If you want to be on the show, you've got to write a book. And that opened up the doors for me to be able to write my next book, my 3rd book, but also my best I would say one of my best books to date, or best works to date. It was my how-to book, my self-improvement book, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. You know, this book, 21 chapters, 15 chapters of exercises, insights, tips, and hints. Man, everyone seems to request that book because it offers a lot, and they actually see themselves in the book. So, I mean, I could explain a little bit about the other books, but I don't want to take over the interview and let you.
The interview is about you, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, the follow-up to that.
I want to guide you, which is awesome, and not to interrupt you. But you know what? People want that how-to book for a reason. Now, I want to step you back, and then we'll step back forward.
Okay.
You talked about your family was a musical family.
Yes.
Not sure where you're from, but talk to us a little bit about, you had two major things in life that not everybody, but oftentimes people deal with: substance abuse, cancer. A lot of people deal with both of those things. Now, one came on you because, and one was a choice. Help us understand, you know, I want to take you to that in the holiday season, because this might be a time that people might slip into a phase of substance abuse. And I'm not sure, maybe talk us through that, because a lot of people deal with a lot of emotional things, a lot of depression, a lot of loneliness. Talk to us about how you got there.
Well, for those of you that are watching this in real time, or those of you that are watching this as a replay, understand that, you know, your emotional state is very real. I get it. You know, believe it or not, even the best of the best, or the strongest and wisest, we all have ups and downs, dips and, curves and things that come at us unexpectedly. So if you ever find yourself in a weak spot, meaning emotionally, or you feel vulnerable mentally, it's okay. You're not the only one. And it's true, at this time of the year specifically, you know, that's very, a very realistic reflection on one's mindset, because during the holidays, we think about when we were younger. We think about friends or family members that are no longer here. We think about someone that may have broken our heart, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, it's understandable that sometimes you feel short. You know, you're just not sure what's going to happen the next day. Now, I know for myself, even now that I'm over substance abuse, you know, I have to stay on top of me. I really do. And I'm saying to you that are listening or that are watching, you must realize that you are the best thing going on. You really are. And I know you may say, well, how am I the best? I don't have as much money as I want, or I don't have the love of my life in my life. And I get that. But sometimes it's a season for pruning. Sometimes it's a season of reflection. And sometimes, you know, that pain or that discomfort you're feeling, it's there intentionally to actually capture your attention. And for me, because my family was involved in music, it seemed like a natural progression that I would be a musician. I would be a singer, a songwriter, and I loved it. I would go in there singing the pop hits, the cover tunes, the Motown, the jazz standards. I mean, whatever was on the radio or whatever was akin to my ear, I lent myself to it. Now, I did grow up in church, so I did sing a lot of gospel, you know, the old school gospel before the stuff we have today. But that was just who I was and what my life consisted of. So the point is, you know, music also has a bad track record, the company that it keeps. And for me, it was no different. I had a band. I also performed as a soloist, and they say drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Well, that was something, not only did it lend itself to us, we lent ourselves to it. And it opens up a path that sometimes you cannot control. And that's what happened in my life. I wanted to be a part of that lifestyle so much, and I was, that I found myself doing things that I lost control with. And I'm talking about using drugs, getting high, drinking, all those things. And honestly, to be totally transparent, it's okay if I'm completely transparent. I dug a hole for myself, and I was really burying myself alive. That's the truth. Now, of course, at the time, I didn't see it. I thought I had control, but I had zero control. And before I knew it, I was looking back on my life and wondering where the time went and what was I going to become, because here I am in my late 30s and there's nothing significant going on with my life. And God was always there. I just never paid attention. I always thought that I had the reins, I had the control, but I really didn't. And he watched me and he saved me and he protected me. And I still went down the wrong path, knowing he was there. And then one day, I remember I used to hear, I used to hear a voice that would say, "You don't have to do that. That's not for you." Well, after ignoring that voice, I paid attention one day. And when I paid attention, that was the beginning of the 180-degree transformation. You see, I looked into my children's eyes, and I tell people all over the place, God convicted me through the eyes of my children. I looked into their eyes. Their eyes are clear and bright. They're full of life and energy. And they want daddy to play with them. They want daddy to take them to the park and daddy to read a story to them. And all I wanted to do was get high. But this one particular day, I knew that I had met my end. My life as a substance abuser had came to a really rather abrupt end. And that, I give my children full credit for saving my life, literally saving my life. And I know God worked it. He worked it so that I would look at my children and it convicted my heart, which created the transformation. But today, again, I'm grateful. I've done all the things I've done in the latter part of my life. I mean, I've been in motion pictures with people like Nicolas Cage, John Boyle, Ed Harris. I've been in the studio with Diana Ross, Jocelyn Brown. I've recorded songs. I mean, I've done a ton of things. And I don't know why I'm getting this tickle in my voice now. Excuse me. But, so my path, the trials and tribulations of my life, they have been great and mighty. But again, I'm not trying to send anyone a snow job. But once I looked back, I literally realized that God was there every single step of the way. And it's like, wow, look at that. I was so blind, so ignorant, so self-indulgent. I could not see that times when I could have been killed, times when, I was almost killing myself because of the drugs, times when danger and harm was right there, right behind me. He protected me, each of those incidents. And it's like, wow. So I cannot do anything but give God credit. In fact, when people ask me how I'm doing, most of the time I tell them I'm grateful. And why I'm grateful is because I know that I don't have to be here right now. Things could have gone a different way many times over. So I've written the books, I've done all these things, and, life is actually grand. It's wonderful. I mean, I still have my down moments when I think, oh, what about this and what about that? But it doesn't compare, I mean, all the things I've done recently, there's no comparison to where I was. I mean, if there was a scale of 1 to 10, I'm still on 10 compared to that 3 or that 4 that my life, was all about, and all those experiences that I had. And I've done some nice stuff in the past, performing and all that stuff. It's great. But, life now, it's totally different. I can appreciate it more.
Oh, Mr. Cary, you've said so much. I just really wanted to jump in on.
I'm sorry.
No. Don't be sorry, because I want you to realize that this is a broadcast that is led by the Spirit of God, and so your timing couldn't have been better. And I just want to really emphasize that WYTV7 is a transparent network, and we interview people who share stories just like you, because
Okay.
we want a message of transformation to reach those people who are listening and watching. And now you're in the studio here with me, so I am just really grateful as well. And
Okay.
so, your transformation story, to God be the glory. So much you said he was there with you all the
Yeah.
time, but you were ignoring the voice. And that's the beauty of our Father, that he's there with us.
Yep.
And he stays there and pursues you until you actually receive his presence. And so you finally listen to that voice. And I thank God for your children, because sometimes it's our children that has to awaken us to the presence of God in our life, and how much God wants to overtake you with blessings. And so he was pursuing you, Mr. Cary, and your life has truly been overtaken by the blessings of the Lord. And
No question.
and you said the scale, and you gave a message of how people can get back up again. Donnie McClurkin sings a song, the just fall but a few times, or somebody sings
Yeah.
get back up.
Yeah.
The thing in life, and the thing in transformation and going over the bridge, you don't stop when a transformative moment come, or you have to shift. You don't look down at the water and get scared. You keep going. You don't go back. And your story is so resonant with that those of the people in the audience, and how you spoke to them, they're listening and they're receiving. So I thank you for your transparency. And you hit, and we'll talk about your books. You hit some critical points. You said the choices in the past, and the things that you've done, and the decisions you've made, you lost control.
Yeah.
And it's being in the car, and just thank you. Regaining that control. I want you to give a quick message to men, because I have a listening audience of men and women. I know your audience is baby boomers, and people just like us. We're at that point in that life, and we may make some steps. You can recover. Talk to our men first, and then talk to our women. Speak to them specifically, like the recovery, and we'll go into some other things.
If I may, I think that what I can share really will resonate with both at the same time. And why I say that is, I'm pretty sure most of us are aware that we are in a lot of pain. We experience a lot of pain. We observe a lot of pain. Look at our television programming. A lot of it is based around pain. America's Funniest Videos. When it first started, it was about funny little, silly little things that used to happen, pretty much all the time. Now the show has shifted, just like many other programs. It's about pain. The funny is supposed to be when someone's getting hurt today in the programming. I don't see anything funny about someone hurting themselves. Now, sometimes it can be humorous. I get that. But literally, if you watch, this is a pure example, which I have no ties to any of these programs. Everything that's supposed to be funny, a focus of attention, and reality shows, all of that stuff, it's based about or based around pain. There's nothing funny about pain. Now, we as human beings, we find it intriguing. I get that. We may even find it interesting, but they are selling each and every one of us. Anytime your eye sees, your ear hears, it's focused on something negative. There comes the point when you're going to hear or experience something that's hurtful. After a while, that hurt, you get numb to it. After you get numb to it, it becomes acceptable. There's nothing acceptable about that. Like I said before, folks, you are the best thing going on. Maybe in your house or apartment, maybe in your immediate community, maybe in your place of worship, maybe in your region, and maybe in the nation with what God has put inside of you. But you have to realize it. There is something special about you. And it's not about just the season where people are more emotional. Overall, your life is, it goes to my next book. You were aligned by design to do a thing, but you must look and learn what that thing is. And it resides deep inside of you. Don't allow your joy to be stolen because of the mindless, efforts of the media. And almost every media platform, they are taking advantage of us, but it can only happen if you let it. Stop letting them take advantage of you.
Wow, Mr. Cary, I couldn't have said it any better. And it's so powerful. And you talk a lot about people's self-worth and their special gifts. And you know, in this season, for those individuals who may be faced with a terminal disease or a chronic illness or a life concerning report from the doctor, you said you were hit 2 times, almost facing your mortality. And this is real. This is why we're not a reality network. I come for the real thing, and we are talking about real people having real life experiences, and this is a real life experience. How did you kind of wrap your mind around, oh my God, I'm facing the door of death? Now, here's the other thing that I want you to wrap in there too. You must have known that God had something great for you, some special gifts in you that allowed you to have the faith and the courage to withstand such terminal diagnoses. Please talk to us so that we can have some tips to how to make it through this holiday.
Got me reaching for my resources now.
Yes, sir.
That pulled this book out of me, Courage Facing Mortality. In this book, I talk about lessons I learned in hindsight. This is the one that became an Amazon bestseller. Now, the cover may look a little different because we've recently repackaged and rebranded it. But to answer your question directly, whether it's cancer, diabetes, hypertension, HIV, whatever it is, it matters, of course. But when I'm saying what doesn't matter, one, you've got to know who you are.
Yes.
And you have to know whose you are. And it's almost like, for me, the same time that I recognized that I needed to stop using drugs, that same feeling that came over me, which I'm going to say was the Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit let me know, change, stop, you don't have to do this. Now is a critical point for you to move in a different direction. Just as that came over me then, it came over me when I was receiving the diagnosis. Excuse me. When I received that diagnosis, and this is what people don't do, I remained calm. Now, I understand why people would freak out, start crying, get angry, perhaps curse God, and then question God, all that. I get it, I really do. But that was not my reality, and that was not the approach that I took, simply because I don't know. I only can say the Holy Spirit helped me and prepared me for this journey. And I just recently wrote this book after the diagnosis, Radiate the Brain and Change. It's a series, the Radiate the Brain and Change the Game, after the diagnosis, from crack to cancer to cured. Because what came over me was a sense of calm to know that, one, your life is not over. 2, there's more for you to do. 3, bide your time. 4, get your questions answered. 5, keep living, keep doing, keep growing, keep going. See, many people, they watch their shoulders. That's what happens when they hear you've got cancer, you've got this, you've got that, diabetes, whatever it is, their shoulders go down. When your shoulders go down, that's a sign of you giving up immediately. Your spirit falls, your will drops, your interest fades. You don't have to do that. And it's not just about the physical motion. It's simply about being able to realize that there's more for you and being interested and excited about what the more is. Well, let me get through this treatment so that I can go ahead and write that book. Let me get through this treatment so I can go ahead and start my next project, whatever it may be, and be grateful to God that he's bringing you through this process.
Wow, Mr. Cary, powerful, powerful.
And this book was also forwarded by Dr. Willie Jolly.
Oh, I know Mr. Jolly.
And
Dr. Jolly.
Yes, and Cheryl Wood, she did a She endorsed it. So did Simon T. Bailey and my good friend Sean Deroe.
Wow. Such amazing information. And we're, already we're coming to the end of our broadcast.
Oh, man. There's so much more I'd like to share with you.
I know. So guess what? We'll have you back. This is the beginning of a wonderful relationship. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you in 3 minutes, and I want you, if there's anything that any book that you haven't pulled out, or how about this? Give me 3 solid takeaways that as we go into the season, the holiday season, and prepare for the new year, I'm going to let you kind of glean it all in 3 minutes. Gratefulness, preparation, internalization, the shoulder shrugging. That was so powerful, because that is really fighting the good fighting that good fight of faith. That's what it's all about. And just because you hear something, don't be defeated. And so give us 3 takeaways, and tell us at the end of your takeaways how we can reach you, where they can find you, where they can follow you. Lead us to you, Mr. Cary.
Okay, I always say that when you radiate the brain, you can change the game. That's a really catchy catchphrase, but it's real. So in other words, if you change the way you're thinking, that will depict or determine the outcome that you get. You see, the cure for your life starts with you. If you know you want something different, even if you have no idea how to get it, the cure for your life, it starts with you. You have to make a decision. Well, where do I get the information? How do I get the information? Who has the information? That's step number 1, realizing that. Number 2, going out to find that resource. It may be my books. It may be a coaching program. It may be a conference. You see, all of these things are resources. Most people don't participate in their own rescue. And it's not always because they don't want to. Sometimes they simply don't know how to. So my goal is to eliminate the excuses, eliminate all reasons. So in other words, now that you've heard this, you can never, ever say, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, I didn't know that. I've never heard anyone say that. So the point is, if you know that you want something, kids going crazy, they're not listening. You don't have a spouse, you don't have a job, whatever it is, you are responsible for taking action. Does it matter whether people are helping you or not? You help you. Be your own superhero. Now is the time, and the time is now. If not you, who? And if not now, when? Come on, let's go. We've got to get over this pain. We've got to get in the game. We got to literally radiate the brain and change the game. And we have to be willing to do something about your circumstances. And it's real. I mean, I'm going to offer all my book sets. I've got all these books. There's an audio, a workbook, a DVD, or a CD with them. If you go to any of the book sets, and you'll see this whole holiday season, you can get any of my book sets at about 25% off. That means you're buying the book, CD, and the DVD, whichever one you want. Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. This has 2 other components. Courage Facing Mortality. This has 2 other components. Or the Aligned by Design. This also has 2 additional components. And the point is, you're investing in yourself. Don't look at it as I'm buying this thing, or he wants me to buy. No, my job is to get you to invest in yourself. You're the best thing going on. But if you don't do anything, you're just, like Dr. Miles Monroe says, the graveyard is one of the richest places in the world. All the stories not told. Well, what about the patents? What about the trademarks? What about the ideas? What about the recipes? You don't have to be one of those numbers. Do something about who you are, whose you are, where you are, and where you want to go.
Wow, Mr. Cary, please tell them how can they reach you. Website,
oh yeah,
handles, please.
Sure. All my social media handles are Sir Charles Cary. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, Sir Charles Cary. I'll put it in the feed. The website to get any of the products, whether you want to discount or you just want to buy an individual book, go to sircharlescaryinc.com. That's the website. And if you want to go directly to the store, you can get it from there, or you can go to sircharlescaryinc.com/shopping. And again, if you're interested in any of those products, the code is going to be half, I think it is. Code is half, HALF. Now, I do have a couple of things coming up, so you'll find it, and it's free here on social media. There's a program coming out called Change the Brain Conversations Without Limitations. We're addressing the Me Too movement, the generation gap, vision, mindset, all these different topics. But the key is you have to take care of you. And that means not just getting up in your hygiene, but what goes into your brain, you know, how you're thinking, being at peace here and with God.
Wow, Mr. Cary, there's not much more that I can say at this point, but thank you so much for being with us on this evening. You have truly been a blessing. I know you have touched many lives. We at WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters, over the time that we've been broadcasting, have reached up to 9 million people, and you have just really furthered our extension and our reach for your realness and your transparency. And I just want to thank you for being here with us tonight. This definitely won't be a last time that you will be with us. And so we want to just, again, thank you and show much gratitude and gratefulness to you on this evening.
Well, I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Well, to my listening audience, I cannot say much more than that. This has been your host, Tina Boyle Whyte, on the Bridge Broadcast Show with Mr. Sir Charles Cary. Don't hesitate to invest in yourself. Get with Mr. Cary, radiate your brain. That's what he says. And we will see you on next week. Have a good evening.